going on, everybody? It is the Star Wars Wastelands Broadcast. That's right, not podcast, but broadcast. A relaunch of a show that we started way back in 2015. We're talking a whole lot of the Phantom Menace tonight, and which is fitting because one of our co-hosts tonight decided that he was just going to dive into that with one of his choices, and we didn't even collaborate on that. We were going to talk about the Phantom Menace, so it's kind of cool how that works out. Anywho, this is Star Wars Wastelands. First up, Mr. Johnny, what's going on, man?
Oh man, I'm doing better than the Jays are tonight. I'll leave it at that.
Last I checked, it was 2-0.
It's 3-0 now.
Got to lose some.
Right, that's true, but I'd rather not lose to the Yankees. Keep our losses out of division.
They came back from 6-0 the other day, so.
Yeah, but that was Texas. They've got 2 players.
Yeah, everybody not named Manoah or Gosman haven't been very good in terms of throwing the ball to home plate. I believe they call it pitching.
That's known to be important.
Yeah,
Romano, though, you gotta give props to Romano.
Oh, Romano's been good too, but I mean, closers are overrated in my opinion. But
not when our bullpen is as ass as it is.
Anyways, this is Star Wars Wastelands. We're talking the Phantom Menace tonight. We got some brief Star Wars news as well that's circulating at the places that cover all that shit. And honestly, right off the top, wax on, wax off news sends in a super chat right out of the gate. Actually, before the gate was even open, they beat the gate.
Broke down the gate with the super chat.
Would you guys ever consider being in the Star Wars Schmodown? So fun fact, I know exactly what you're talking about. We were doing it before there was a Star Wars Schmodown. Just so we're clear. Star Wars Wastelands was doing Star Wars trivia long before the Schmodown decided that they were going to have an exclusive Star Wars division. So,
did we ever yell at Jake for giving them our bit?
Maybe.
We should have blamed him.
I mean, I don't want to blame Jake when he's not here to defend himself. That's not very Jedi-like. You're supposed to be the good one. I'm the Sith.
Well, as my nameplate, which is no longer there, implies that I don't care.
But yeah, no. In terms of the actual Schmodown, they're not going to come to a place like this. We're too small time for that stuff. And,
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're not going to throw him out of bed for eating crumbs, but
the guy down here would be pretty good. But when the guy down here doesn't have trivia go his way, he comes up with lots of excuses as to why he didn't perform to the best of his capabilities. But it'd be cool. You know what we got to have happen? We got to have a Dominic versus Kieran match on the new Wastelands for trivia.
I don't even know who Dominic is, so.
He was probably the best all-around trivia guy in the first incarnation of Wastelands. So
fair enough.
So it'd be cool. Kieran, what's going on, man? You've done a lot lately, and what's happening?
Not too much. I went to a concert last night. It was pretty awesome. I had a great time. I'm tired. I made the most of today, even though I was tired. I went to the gym and I made some gains. And now I'm extremely tired, but I got a brand new bed to sleep on tonight, so I'm excited for that too.
Oh, brand new bed.
Yeah, we got one of those crazy adjustable ones where everything you could do all sorts of crazy shit with it.
You've gotten old when brand new bed is exciting.
Oh man, yeah. I mean,
I had a new one. I'd be excited.
I got lots of salt and pepper here, so the old part is kind of hard to hide, but pretty
I can't deny that either. I've been noticing more and more in my own mane and beard too. It's just oh.
Every time I brush my hair, I look at the hair that comes out in the brush, and I was like, "Why are the gray ones? Why? How come the gray ones don't come out? Just the colored one come out. The gray ones stick around." Anyways, whatever.
Man, I have it's not really a bit, but a great question for Phantom Empire Live, which comes on right after this, by the way. If you guys are tuning in early and you're seeing us online, the new start time for Phantom Empire Live is 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday nights. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into this. If I can remember which video clip is which, and hopefully not completely.
We have labels, brother.
Anyway. Alrighty, it's the first order of business. I just wanted to go over a couple of things really quickly here in the first order of business. There's nothing, it's nothing, well, I shouldn't say it's not major, but there's nothing like imminent, nothing that's going to happen this week per se. But coming up in the very near future, we are actually going to have Jason from Making Star Wars come over onto the channel, and we're just going to sort of talk all things Kenobi and Andor and everything else that's coming out Star Wars related this year. So be on the lookout for that in the next couple of weeks. And then I believe next week, our old buddy Ty is going to join us, and he's going to jump on here with the three of us and talk some Star Wars. So, you know what I just noticed is we don't have Tommy B anymore. Tommy B was here, and he was doing the background stuff, and then I switched something, and I think there's a chance I might have booted him. I don't know.
Let's be honest, with Tommy's internet, let's not go taking unnecessary blame.
I mean, hey, when I start taking unnecessary blame, I mean, we should just go with it, right?
Normally, I'd say yes, but I'll say it when you actually have done something questionable.
So we're gonna have Jason on in the next couple of weeks. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Heavy spoiler talk there. Might actually have some other Star Wars content creators on as well for that stream. Tommy says he's in the chat. If that is actually Tommy. I can't see the moderator stuff in StreamYards. I don't know if
that is moderator Tommy. Yes.
Moderator Tommy. So we have that coming up, and then I would say it's going to be a few weeks still, but eventually we're going to have everything in concrete for trivia, and we'll start offering you guys a Star Wars trivia match probably once every other week, and we'll build our rankings up and see what happens. So. Blue. I can't see blue. It doesn't show blue in StreamYards. Fuck. This fucking guy.
He's correct. It doesn't show blue or even have you'd think they'd at least have the mod wrench. But no, it's just a black name.
Yeah, for whatever reason, a lot of the things that transfer over to StreamYards. Yeah, wait a second. Hang on. Ask him that question in the private chat. I thought he did. Okay. Yeah, but anyways, we got some interesting shows coming up. So we got Jason from Making Star Wars coming up. We have the Star Wars trivia coming up, and then whatever the hell these guys want to talk about. I mean, look, Kenobi is 5 weeks away, so you're gonna get another trailer for Kenobi. That's gonna happen. There's lots to be excited about, and it sounds like there's a lot of Star Wars gaming stuff getting ready to happen over the next month or so. Reveals. It doesn't mean anything's imminently coming, but yeah. Anyways, let's dive into our first real segment of this evening. All right, it's time for the HoloNet rundown, a quick rundown of all the news out there right now. Fellas, I don't know if you had a chance to see, I don't think I posted it on any of our social media, but the same people, the same company that went out and made, and now my image is not working. The same people that went out and made that Knights of the Old Republic re-release last year went out and did one for The Force Unleashed. And I don't know why the image just simply does not exist right now on StreamYards. So I won't be able to pull it up. But yeah, Limited Run Games is doing The Force Unleashed, and it has a bunch of goodies in it. Look, I thought I was going to get the limited runs version of Knights of the Old Republic. They had like the big super duper deluxe set and then the smaller one. And I didn't get either. The truth is I didn't get either. I just purchased the like the $15 Switch version of Knights of the Old Republic and stuck with it. But it's the closest I've been to purchasing one of those big box set things. Is the Force Unleashed, is that something that holds much nostalgia for either of you guys? Not necessarily saying you're going to go spend $200 on it, but like, is there much nostalgia there for the Force Unleashed? I was kind of surprised to see this be the next one they do.
I mean, I'm not entirely surprised at all by that, because it was really, the first attempt at sort of that linear storytelling in a Star Wars video game since probably Shadows of the Empire would be the last real one that didn't have, RPG elements attached to it. Whereas, I mean, this one sort of had that action RPG, but I mean, let's be honest, it's not even remotely close to the same thing. But it was a fun story capitalized by, an actor who just dove headfirst into the Star Wars universe as a whole, becoming a huge, member of the community, both through the games, through the, eventually through the cartoons, all of that other stuff, that he just kind of enmeshed himself in Star Wars fandom. And it was a fun game, a fun story. You could do a lot of things that we hadn't been able to do yet. I mean, look at the prologue, on Kashyyyk when you're Vader, like how many other games can you think of where you can literally just pick up stormtroopers?
That was the demo for the
like
game
ragdolls?
too, right? Like that.
Yeah,
that was huge. They had 2 demos for that game. One was Star Killer, part of your first mission, and then the other one was Vader.
I mean, seeing this picture, that holocron though,
looks it's an
That's-
impressive set, as was their Knights of the Old Republic. I'd
say this one is more impressive.
Spend that kind of money on it.
Yeah,
Kieran?
I mean, I can see why people, like anyone that's, had a really, anyone who has lots of nostalgia about the game would love to have this, and it's got lots of really cool things in it. I mean, I always love to see like an art book. Anything like that is always really cool to have. But it would be more for my brother and sister than it would be for me. I know they were into the game. They loved how difficult it could be when you put it on the harder settings, and they both are people who like a challenge. And I saw them play the game, but I didn't play the game till way later, and I played it on the Wii. And the best thing I thought about the game was Master Rom Coda doesn't blink when you have the Wii version. So we just used to make fun of him, and how we used to be like, "Oh, join the resistance. We have lots of coffee. We never stop fucking drinking coffee." We're just like kind of make fun of the fact that he doesn't blink in the Wii version. That's my fondest memory of the game, to be honest. So
it's an impressive collection. It's probably worth the money, and just in terms of value. But I don't know. Priorities change, and I thought for sure I was going to get the Knights of the Old Republic one, and I didn't. I just chose not to, and I got to be honest. If I'm not buying that one, I'm probably not buying any of the other ones. So,
I mean, you could probably buy this, and then when the limited run runs out, sell it for more. So might be a good investment.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but then you literally can't open it.
You don't want to get rid of it, right? These are the problems. Anyways, there you have it. Star Wars The Force Unleashed, ported over by Asper Media, who's doing the Knights of the Old Republic remake. It's limited run games. I don't think they have any more of the Knights of the Old Republic version available. But hey, if they sold lots of the Knights of the Old Republic version, if they sell lots of this one, my guess is they'll keep doing things like this. So if that's your thing, then be on the lookout for what's going on here. Go ahead.
I'd play the shit out of a Shadows of the Empire remake.
Oh man, just give us the whole media project that they did as one big bundle. Give us the graphic novel, the soundtrack, all of it.
Yeah, that would be really neat.
So Star Wars Celebrations coming up. We'll be covering a bit of that from our homes here in Canada. um, well, I mean, even the option of going, I definitely would not be going to an event like that yet. But I hope everybody that goes has a great time and that it's a blast. We know now that the Thursday panel, which is usually just the setup day, go in and buy stuff, Thursday is actually going to be the big panel. And one of their panels is the live action panel, which is supposed to include, again, I don't know how literal you want to take this, but it's supposed to include TV series. So a look at Obi-Wan and Andor and probably the other series as well that aren't too far down the road. Mandalorian season 3 perhaps, but I think the Mandalorian gets its own panel, which is interesting. But they just announced that it hasn't been announced yet, but it's about to be, that the Tales of the Jedi leak that we covered a couple months ago is getting its own panel. We still don't know if this is a TV show, if this is their take on the Stranger Things show, if it's animated, if it's a novel series. Nobody knows what it is, but apparently it's going to get its own panel. And, you know, part of me is like, oh man, how awesome would it be if this was a movie? Because like I'm dying to go see a Star Wars movie, right? But yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like a lot's going to happen at Star Wars Celebration, but I'd be wary in terms of how much new stuff they announce. If Johnny and I have learned anything from covering celebrations in the past, is you get some cool things that happen there, and they certainly release new trailers there. But in terms of announcing new projects, it almost never happens at Celebration. Any thoughts on that, guys, in terms of just keeping expectations in check?
I mean, it's hard to want like it's hard to really expect things anyways because we have so much coming and we know so much about so much that is coming. So like, if they announced any projects, we'd be like, oh, is that like at the back of the line behind the 15 other things? So beyond the fact that I don't expect it, I don't really want to find out anything new because I would rather find out more about the stuff that's coming, like the several projects that's still coming. So,
all right. I guess we will, unless Johnny has anything to add there, I guess we'll keep the ball rolling.
No, I mean, I think you're right to say that, we don't typically get a lot of new at Celebration. It's just, we talk about things that are coming and the things that have been announced, but the new announcements have typically come at the main Disney conventions and the main Disney events. Just because they feel like that's a larger audience. I don't know, but you were right in saying that the Mando does have its own panel on Saturday.
Yeah, that's what
as does the Bad Batch.
I did notice that the main Thursday panel, I believe it is also a longer panel than they've ever done before. So, again, I would keep expectations in check. I don't think anybody should be.
I think this is going to give us a better idea just based on the description they give, because it's the studio's current crop of live action filmmakers. So I guess we'll see if anyone's absent that hasn't been announced as not having a project or having a project.
Yeah, I was just like, I was listening to Making Star Wars today, and like, or maybe it wasn't today, sometime recently, and they were talking about how like Lucasfilm just needs to come out and stop being coy about all their shit and tell us, look, either this is happening or it's not anymore, it's canceled or it's not. They are literally the only fucking studio that plays this game anymore. You shouldn't have to find out from anybody's YouTube channel that so-and-so character is, if it's not meant to be a big spoiler, is in whatever show and this person's been cast, but they try to do this fucking cat and mouse game, and it's like they're literally the only studio that does it anymore. And I think it shows in some of the shortcomings they've had recently. Tommy B in the back says, limited run games is cool. I always like the look of what they put out, but I never actually picked up anything. So in other words, they're good enough to be the bridesmaid, but not the bride.
Yeah, I mean, none of us are rich, right?
Not that I know of. I mean,
there's lots of stuff I want to buy. Like,
Yeah.
I want to buy. I just went to a Comic-Con this weekend. I could have spent $20,000, but I actually spent nothing. Instead, I made money.
Yeah, those are a dangerous place.
Yeah.
Kenny adds in limited run games, puts out a lot of cool stuff and collectibles. I'm sensing that. I'm getting that. Makes me wonder what else is coming, because within like 4 months now, they've put out these two. It sounds crazy. If they did one for Knights of the Old Republic 2, I would probably buy it. I know the game was cut short.
Wouldn't that be the ultimate sort of big deal if they reinstated that content?
It's just so different than other Star Wars games, but it is what it is. Let's move to It's in the Game, and this week it's our boy Kieran who has the pick, and
that wasn't me.
And no, but it might bring back some memories. So here we go. It's in the Game. All right, Kieran, save us from suspense, man. What's your pick? Tell us a little bit about your game and why you picked it.
I picked Star Wars Jedi Power Battles, which is maybe not everyone's favorite title, I'm sensing. But I absolutely loved and played the shit out of this game. It was, I thought, fantastic. So I used to go and visit my aunt in Ottawa, and she had this, or maybe I rented it for the first time, but I rented it several times after that. It's it can be a very frustrating game platforming wise, and it, you know, it is kind of repetitive in that you basically, it's a beat 'em up as Star Wars characters, but I really enjoyed the gameplay. I liked how you got to play as characters you didn't really know very much about. You got to see different styles of lightsaber combat. And I mean, as I've stated many, many times, the Jedi are my favorite thing about Star Wars. I'm always really into characters who are, you know, about exploring life. So, you know, the Jedi are pretty natural, you know, heroes for me to cheer on. I just some things I love about the game. I love that you can press block to block blaster bolts, and if you click it at exactly the right time, then you can return the bolt and destroy the droid, which was always fun to try to time that out while you're trying to hit people with combos. There was some kind of funny things, like you could pick up power-ups that would make your lightsaber like super, super huge or more powerful. You got to play as Plo Koon, which was awesome because until that point, Plo Koon was just the guy you kind of saw in the background. He wasn't, you know, he's so much more fleshed out after Clone Wars as a character. But until then, he was, you know, you heard he was a good pilot. He sounded cool. Like there was a little bit of stuff about him, but not too much. And he became one of my favorite characters. It was really fun to play, and 2-player co-op games are so hard to come by. They didn't make a ton of them, you know, like there's some good ones and there's some bad ones, but playing, you know, 2-player co-op with your friends is always fun. A la, you know, playing Double Dragon and
unless you have
like
one
that,
that's just no good at Star Wars gaming and they hold you back, and yeah.
You really are just putting yourself
I'm
out there
going to
saying
hear
that.
a story, so I'm done with my spiel. I want to hear the story because I knew what was coming already. Sean had told me something interesting is coming.
So, in early Star Wars Wastelands days, our former co-host, who we're going to hear right after this segment, went on, like, just out of nowhere, this fucking 25-minute rant on how terrible Jedi Power Battles was and how buggy it is and how it was like the worst fucking game ever, and that he threw it. He did what you did to the Scream disc, and it just sort of lived on for years. Whenever that game would come up, he would just fucking. He's like you with Hayden. And the fact that you just randomly picked that to be the first one was kind of like, oh wow, that's a small fucking world. Obviously, you like the game. I do remember in that game, Mace Windu has a blue lightsaber, not a purple lightsaber.
That sounds right. I mean, I saw it on the cover there.
I was watching some footage of that game today, actually, on YouTube.
Yeah. I know it was very difficult there at the end of the Naboo level. You have to jump on some rocks, and it was really, really hard, and you definitely fell through things that looked like they were there. So it was definitely rough, but I mean, if you were able to, work hard and get by that part, most of the game was just very, like, really enjoyable, fun. It's one of the first instances of seeing someone hold a lightsaber upside down. I forget which character does that. Might be what characters you have? Sorry, you got Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Mace, Plo Koon, and a female character.
It might be Adi Gala who's in there.
Might be.
Here, let's see.
Someone pull it up. I don't know, but I believe she holds her lightsabers upside down, and it was one of the first instances of kind of seeing that. Like I mentioned, you got to see different styles of lightsaber combat, which was fun. And I always loved games that were hard. I think one of the reasons why I'm not into gaming today is games are just they're made for you to be able to beat them fairly easily and then buy another one. They're made for you to be, follow along the story and be interested and see awesome cutscenes. But like, they weren't like games back in the day. You did want to throw them against the wall. You did want to be like, you know what? I worked so hard for 4 hours to get to where I am, and now I'm starting fresh tomorrow. Like, I really enjoyed that type of gaming, and I'm, so give me a game that's really tough and hard, and that when you beat it, you can actually go to your friends and be like, dude, I beat this game, and they're like, oh shit, like, that's awesome.
So remember that this game came out in like 2000. Mace I see, Qui-Gon I see, the others I see. What the hell were they doing with Obi-Wan Kenobi? Oh man, they missed on him. The game was fun though, and we're actually going to touch on this game in a few minutes again, so I don't want to give that part away yet. Did you own this game, Kieran, or just rent it?
I did eventually own it. I've rebought a lot of systems. I believe I still own it somewhere right now, but it's wherever in your house. WWE in your house is sitting along with my PlayStation 1 somewhere.
That's a hell of a deep cut.
Yeah, I own those games, and I own some Resident Evil games for PlayStation 1, and that's about it. I haven't broken them out in a while, so I don't know. I own it somewhere. I also own Masters of the Terras Kasi. I don't think we'll ever get to that. I don't think anyone's ever going to bring that one up, so...
Never say never.
Oh, man, I remember renting that one and being horribly disappointed.
I played it a ton, but it was bad. There's no arguing about it.
Our boy Get Gronk is back. Fizz. Get Gronk. Actually, I think Get Gronk was in Kieran's time as well. What's up, guys? It's Get Gronk. Haven't been on in a while. I've been mad busy with work and stuff, but I'm still going to try to pop in and show support when I can. LMAO, me when I beat Guitar Hero on the hardest difficulty.
That's difficult. I had a friend. I had a friend, Corey, who did that, and it was like, what is it, Through the Fire and Flames or something like that? Is one of his songs at the end, and you're just like, and then you like miss one thing, and you're like, fuck, start again.
My fingers hurt just thinking about trying that on expert. Like, no. That sounds hard on freaking medium. Like, no.
Yeah. That same friend tried to tell me that he could play a real guitar because of it. So
I don't think those skills translate.
They don't.
Rock Band told me I could sing really great. That doesn't make it true.
Someday, let's get that on the air. Anyways, we're kind of rocking away from Star Wars at this point.
Yeah. Are you new here?
We will bring it back here, and we'll bring it back in the form of our old co-host. It's a Mondo Minute. Enjoy.
Whoa, yeah, it's everybody's favorite time of the week. It's time for a Mondo Minute. Almost 60 seconds of the face made for radio and the voice made in nightmares. Coming at you live from Camino, apparently. Because it's raining pretty hard. I wish I knew how to get women this wet. Anyway, going on to this week's joke. What do you call a conspiracy theorist Wookiee? I'll go ahead and come on. A Wookiee. Because they're woke. You get it? Oh. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Why do I come up with this stuff, man?
And that was your Mondo Minute with our old co-host who is one of a kind. One day we're going to get him and Kieran on here, and or even him and a Fandom Empire guy that hasn't been around in a while, and that could create some fireworks. So anyways, there's your Mondo Minute. Kieran looks so not impressed.
I was legitimately concerned for a minute there when you hear the rain dropping, and it's like, oh, please, God, tell me that's raining, because with Mondo, the other option is a possibility.
Yeah,
this isn't video; it's just audio.
You are not wrong, sir. Without further ado, though, let's get to the Jedi archives. All right, Kieran, it's your novel of the week, man. What'd you pick and why?
I picked Light of the Jedi. It's a Star Wars High Republic book. It is the first, I don't know if it's the one that first released, because the releases have kind of been kind of funny when waves come out. But it was the first big release, the first full, adult-sized novel. And it is like fantastic. It's such a great book. It starts off with a real bang. It right away lets you know that you're in the Star Wars universe, but you're also in a universe that it's a different time. It's a frontier time. It's a time when they don't know everything about everything. They're still learning space travel. They're still learning about planets. The Outer Rim is really, really the wild, wild west where you can do whatever you want. It lets you know right away that there's a lot of danger in this series. There's a lot, you can expect almost Game of Thrones type of like don't go into a dangerous situation because you might not make it out alive. And they introduce some characters. You get probably the big three characters that you will read about in the High Republic world, which is Avar Kriss, Elzar Mann, and what's the third guy's name? I don't know why I can't remember his name right now. I was gonna say Reef Silas, but it's not Reef Silas. It's Stellan Geos. Sorry, Stellan Geos.
Yes, I remember StarWars.com actually had a featurette based on some of the decisions they made while creating that character, actually. So
yeah. Well, I mean, there's definitely some archetypes there, but they're definitely interesting characters, and they're a little bit more like Qui-Gon in the way that they get to do things as Jedi, and which is cool because it expands on characters like Qui-Gon, being old school, and I just think it's a great book. It definitely written really well, and it sets up a world. It sets up like almost a whole universe, really, in a new way. And I've enjoyed all the books, but this one was definitely the one that I enjoyed the most, just being that it kind of introduced you to a brand new type of world within Star Wars. So I think Johnny has also read the books. You've read this one, correct, Johnny?
No.
You haven't read this one yet? I thought you did.
No.
I'm the only person here who's read this one.
I'm several chapters into this one. Spoiler alert. Like I'm past the disaster parts, if that makes any sense. And I actually like where they started with that, but then I thought that the author kind of like abandons that type of storytelling after the first several chapters, and it almost feels like a completely different book after that for a little bit. I have not finished it yet. I will go back and finish it, but I want to see when we're getting more High Republic content first. Like, I need to watch it soon, or read or listen to it soon.
Guy's comment makes me curious. Who did the Audible version of that? He does not give him good marks.
I'm not sure. I have seen the. I've listened to the Audible version.
I think it was Mark Thompson.
I did it while I was kind of like working. I did it while I was at work in some downtime, and while I was doing things, I listened to it. So it was kind of more of like a refresher. I don't remember thinking that was that good either.
It's Mark Thompson.
I kind of didn't think it was the greatest either. So except I like the voice they have for the bad guy, who I haven't mentioned. The villains in this are really interesting too. In the first phase, you have two different types of villain. You have the Dial, who are kind of like space Vikings in a way. They have a really interesting technology that kind of gives them an advantage. And then in other novels, they have the Drengir, which is like an overgrown sort of plant disease that kind of takes over worlds. So it's interesting. They're fighting several things at once. A lot of people don't like that they built their own universe and feel like you have to read all the stories, but I can assure you guys that if you're just reading the adult, full-size novels, you could totally just read them in a row. You wouldn't be missing anything. You would get some extra content if you read the kids and junior novel books, but you don't need to read those other things to know what's going on. So
eventually I'm going to give it a shot. I just have so many other things I want to get to first that it's like...
It's kind of daunting. I mean, there's already...
stuff these days.
There's 3 adult novels, there's 3 junior novels, and there's 3 teen novels, and 3 kids books. So, and even I have this is the young adult novel, and it's still pretty much the same size as the adult size novel. So it's just more the type of writing and the words they might use in it that might be a little bit more.
I'm guessing a larger font as well based on book size.
Not really.
That's unusual.
Yeah. No. And I've just started this one, but then I decided to read through a different High Republic book instead. So I kind of put it on hold, even though
it is daunting where that when you pick up something and you want to invest in a series. It takes time. It does. time is harder to come by the older you get. So, all right, let's go move on. We're running out of time here. We only got about 15 minutes left for the Senate, and I definitely want to talk some Phantom Menace. And there's still no audio for that one. It's not done. All righty. So the Phantom Menace came out in May of 1999, and I will go to my grave on saying there has never been a more hyped Star Wars movie than Star Wars The Phantom Menace. If there would have been social media in the age of The Phantom Menace, the late 90s, it would have blown away what The Force Awakens was. I've lived both. I can tell you, at least here in Canada, it was not close. You couldn't go into a variety store or a fucking fast food restaurant without having fucking Jar Jar Binks in your face, among others. The Phantom Menace, I think, as a movie, falls short of a lot of people's expectations and could have been so much more in a lot of people's eyes. But I got to be honest, guys, I just watched this movie a few weeks ago, and I've arguably never liked watching the movie more than I just did. The pod race is fantastic. The battle's incredible. Obviously, yeah, I think Jar Jar gets a little bit too much focus. I don't mind that he's in the movie. The Phantom Menace was a great movie. So just thoughts on the, for me anyways, brief thoughts on the movie and thoughts on the cultural impact it had on our lives growing up during that time.
Well, I mean, I do remember that I totally agree with you that the hype machine, the build up, the toys were insane. You're right. You know, every single Happy Meal, Burger King meal, all that stuff, all had Star Wars toys, several video games, about several different portions of this. You know, there was a pod racer game that was very much fun. I wouldn't be surprised if we talked about that at some point. You know, just so many things. And also some of those action figures were peg warming forever too. So like, you know, they probably have a mine shaft somewhere stuffed with friggin' Senator Palpatine action figures. It was really crazy. The hype behind this movie was so crazy. And I remember I dug right in on all of it. I got plenty of Lego sets from it. You know, all my friends had video games, and it was definitely very exciting. And I do remember seeing the movie. I do remember really liking a lot of it. Obviously, people hated Jar Jar. I didn't have, you know, I thought the same thing, like, this character is kind of annoying, but I never really took it too far on that front. You know, I was still kind of I was still a teen at the time, so I wasn't into like, oh, well, the acting wasn't this or that. But I do remember thinking there was lots of parts in it that were kind of boring. And I remember when I rewatched it, when they brought out the 3D. When they brought the 3D movie out, I remember going to see it and being like, man, this is a fucking boring movie. Like, there's a big lull in it. The end is great. Obviously, Duel of the Fates is fantastic. You know, it's pretty universally loved by Star Wars fans that's an amazing lightsaber battle, and the choreography was awesome. And it's a movie that spawned my favorite character in Star Wars. I mean, my favorite character was Chewbacca up until then, and became Qui-Gon after I saw that movie. So
we'll get Johnny's take in a second on the cultural impact that the Phantom Menace had. But if you're watching this right now or after the fact, click the like button, leave a comment, let us know what you think of certain topics on the show, and hit subscribe, because all of that stuff greatly helps us out, helps other people find the channel. And yeah, do that stuff, please. It helps. Please, we beg you. Anyways, Johnny, thoughts, man? Like, the Phantom Menace, I mean, I was with you. Like, we were by each other every day during those days.
Yeah.
You could not get away from that movie.
You literally couldn't. It was everywhere. I mean, it was the first real time I can remember. I mean, it was the height of the hype era. There were a lot of things that got a lot of hype that didn't necessarily. I mean, I remember the hype for Godzilla a couple years before this. It had the same sort of PepsiCo backing. I remember the big Godzilla cup holder things they had, or like Godzilla wrapped around your cup, and then you had the same sort of stuff. Just a year or two later with Star Wars, that it was literally everywhere. Vending machines, convenience stores would have R2-D2 Pepsi coolers. They were everywhere for everything, and it was just
couldn't buy any Pepsi can of pop without getting a Star Wars face on it.
No, I mean Mountain Dew, Pepsi itself. I mean, even like you've got the Lipton iced tea bottle, right?
Yep.
Still,
yeah. It could be the sucker that finds that and drinks it. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was literally, you couldn't throw a stone without hitting something Star Wars, no matter where you were. And it was amazing. I mean, I may have my gripes and issues with the prequel trilogy. And, if you've been here long enough or you stick around long enough, eventually you'll hear me talk smack about it, because I think they suck. With the exception of like the last half of 3, they're awful. They're horrible. But they have their redeeming moments. And if there's one thing I will always give George credit for doing, is being just an unquestionable marketing genius. He saw the dollar signs in Star Wars when literally no one else did. I mean, he took pennies on the dollar to make the first movie just to keep the merchandising. And that spawned a multi-billion-dollar operation. Like George doesn't care. He's got his merchandise. And if there's one thing he was capable of doing, was pandering to the lower market. And that, I mean, children. He would find something that would market to children and just go crazy on it. Like, if you weren't at a certain age range, you hated a lot of things. Like, Jar Jar is to our generation what Ewoks were to the first generation, which is what Porgs are to the new generation. Like, every trilogy has had that thing that you can push on children and be like, you need to buy all of these plushies and action figures, and toys, dolls, and these things that everybody hates, but you have to get them because the kids love them. And Jar Jar was that. Like, if you were above like 7 or 8 years old, you probably didn't like Jar Jar. But if you were under that, Misa think you awesome. Like,
I mean, any way you cut it, Ahmed Best was treated like shit. So,
he does not deserve the problems that have been associated with that character. I mean,
when I go back and watch it as an adult, I think it's fine. He's a fine character.
The problem isn't him or his performance. It falls on George and just cramming the character down your throat in moments where it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, it was
all the people Padme would choose to, take her place at the Senate at one of the most important times of the entire Galactic Senate, she chooses an idiot. Like, come on now. There's reality and then there's stupidity, and that is...
Padme had other things on her mind.
Well, sure she did, but she could have sent one of her handmaidens and they would have done a much better job than it. Sent Captain Panaka. I don't care. Just send literally anybody else.
Yeah, that's literally like if Michael left the office and was like, "Hey, let's leave Kevin in charge." He seems like the greatest person to do that.
Man, I've been listening to.
I think Creed is probably the better analogy. We saw what happened when Creed was in office.
Labyrinth of
Low
Evil,
body,
which is a prequel to Revenge of the Sith, and like, it's not canon anymore. But like, even back then when they were making Revenge of the Sith, like, Palpatine just had everything. So, like, Palpatine fucked the Jedi. There's no other way to put it. He fucked them politically. He fucked them in the Jedi versus Sith battle. They got decimated. That's simple.
He won the minute he had them create the army that would destroy them.
So, quickly here, because we're running out of time. I think we have Ty on next week. Maybe we'll come back and do a part 2 to the Phantom Menace discussion here. We have a few more things we'll touch on, but like just pull up some cool images from like some of the merch that was out there back in the day, because I know I used to love going into stores and seeing the Darth Maul packaging on shelves, and it was so badass.
Yeah,
So,
they redid that too. They recently released. I mean, I haven't got the Qui-Gon yet, but
I seen him at Best Buy. Yeah,
yeah, I know. They keep putting them lower and lower in price, and eventually I will buy them.
This is one thing I wanted to bring up is I know for a fact there has never been a Star Wars movie that spawned off as many video games as The Phantom Menace. There's a possible chance there's never been another movie that has spawned off as many video games as The Phantom Menace. Now, maybe there is, but it's definitely in the conversation for most. Here's a look at some of them. This is not all of them. Sorry, I didn't have time to grab images for everyone because some of them are harder to find. But when you think of this catalog of video games, and Kieran brought up one earlier with Episode 1 Racer, I think we're missing 3 or 4 from this list as well. But like Star Wars The Phantom Menace, I had that for PS1. I fucking loved that game. It was amazing. They did that game so well. It was my favorite movie video game they ever did. Episode 1 Racer, Kieran had Jedi Power Battles, Battle for Naboo, which I think was for PC and N64. The Adventure, or Obi-Wan's Adventures, I believe, is a Game Boy Color.
Literally says only for Game Boy Color.
Star Wars Starfighter was huge. Ended up getting a sequel, Jedi Starfighter with Attack of the Clones. People love that. The Obi-Wan game I had, there's Mondo's favorite game, Super Bombad Racing. Think about it. Specifically just Star Wars. No other Star Wars movie ever, even the new ones, has ever spawned off this many video games off of one movie. And this isn't even all of them.
Maybe just cumulatively A New Hope might?
I checked. No, A New Hope does not. If you don't include like the stand-in arcade theater games, then it does not. The problem is Star Wars just didn't do much for several years, and they probably should have done more. Although,
at some point, it'd be a really nice topic for us to talk about that in between period. Like being a Star Wars fan when just the new THX VHSs come out, and when the new special editions ones came out with the gold case, and those things were pretty interesting to be a fan during that timeline that time period when you didn't really know if you're ever going to get anything. So
it is like a lot of these games, like, say what you want about the prequels. We know Johnny doesn't like them. I don't think you're a big prequel guy either, Kieran. I love them. I think it's the best Star Wars trilogy.
Oh God! What?
I do. I have the prequels slightly above the originals for me.
How are we going to end the show now?
We're just going to walk away and he can just talk on his own.
I can yell at you for at least an hour now.
Well, we can bring it into the next show. Careful, you're sounding a lot like someone else I know there with your tone of voice. Man. Let's read some comments as we go off air here. Heath says, I agree. I saw it while in college and the theater was packed. Darth Maul was awesome. And the dueling fights, very good. I hate that they cut the extended Kenobi fight scene. They cut a lot out of that movie. They cut a lot out of Revenge of the Sith, though, as well. Like, those two movies got chopped to shit. I'll say one thing. If you watch the making of The Phantom Menace, and this is why I like the making of the prequels way better than the making of any movie ever, is George Lucas will openly admit when he thinks he did something wrong. And during one of the final screenings of The Phantom Menace, basically when there was no time left to make any changes, he literally goes, you know what? I think we've gone too far with the pacing. And he was right. Like, if that movie has one big flaw, and Kieran was just mentioning it, is it can be boring at times because the pacing is just not good in it. And the fact that he openly admits this on his own extras of his own DVD, most people you wouldn't be caught dead doing anything like that. Chosen Nightwall says, I tried to collect all these Star Wars Mountain Dew cans, never could get them. Ty Nelson says, my favorite publicity thing was the tone poems. I don't know if I recall them at all. I think they got me more excited than the trailers.
You'll have to explain what the heck those were next week.
Then he said, I collected most of the Hasbro action figures from the main 3.75 line back in the day. Oh, I'd like to see some. Good
God!
That was a huge line. Like, I'd be willing to bet there's never been a 3.75 line of Star Wars figures that had that variety of characters.
Power of the Force.
In them. Well, that touched the...
Power of the Force went on forever.
All the...
But if you're saying, like, for one individual movie, then no.
Yeah,
God, no.
Yeah. Like, fuck, I remember, like, walking into Walmart being like, oh, hey, there's the melty pilot from Padme's ship who fucking melts off to Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. I don't know the fucker's name, but I could have bought 10,000 of his toy.
We made a big deal about the character from 7 that got the Black Series figure that was, like, in nothing.
Constable Zuvio.
Yes!
I was
we made a big deal about him. And literally, Phantom Menace had, like, dozens of them that you would have, like, even we would look at me like, who's this guy again?
Wow. Heath says, I'm curious to Harry Potter spin off a lot of video games. I don't know. Ask that in the next show and we will answer that.
As I answered directly underneath that, not really.
I hope I'm not there.
The Harry Potter video games are starting to come anyway, some of them. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. Kieran says if they only cut more Hayden,
the movies could have been worse.
Can't help himself. Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of Star Wars Wastelands, the Star Wars Wastelands broadcast. To be more specifically, thanks to Mondo for his Mondo Minute. That unique son of a bitch. Johnny, where can everybody find you at, man?
Here, there, and everywhere.
How about you, Kieran? Not watching you?
Here? Yeah. You can find me here.
All right, everybody. That is going to do it for us. We'll see you on Phantom Empire Live, which is live in just a few minutes. Good night, and may the Force be with you.